President Biden has blown away the Republican competition in terms of second quarter fundraising, including Donald Trump, thanks in large part to small grassroots donations. Not bad for Sleepy Joe, huh? Intrigued? Then click that like, subscribe, and the alert bell, and enjoy the video. All right, folks, so despite the fact that he has been struggling with popularity for 2 years, basically, since the withdrawal from Afghanistan, President Biden has gotten some good news, particularly with respect to the 2024 Biden-Harris campaign. And that news is that he has blown away the competition, the Republican competition, including against Donald Trump, in terms of second quarter fundraising. This is the top line in terms of the breakdown of the stats, and then we'll dive into it more. But from April to June, Donald Trump raised $35 million, Ron DeSantis $20 million, Nikki Haley $7 million, Tim Scott $6 million, Mike Pence $1 million, and Joe Biden, President Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, raised $72 million, shattering records for second quarter fundraising. That's really, really good. So NPR has a bit of a breakdown. President Biden is starting his re-election campaign with tens of millions of dollars in the bank, dwarfing second quarter fundraising totals already announced by the campaigns of former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The Biden-Harris campaign, Democratic National Committee, and their joint fundraising committees combined to raise $72 million from April till the end of June. They have $77 million cash on hand. This is extraordinary. I mean, it's really good, especially when you consider, again, as much as we like him around here, President Biden has certain political headwinds going against him. I'm sure he's the incumbent, and sure he's legislatively and executively accomplished extraordinary things, despite narrow margins in Congress and a hostile Supreme Court. What Biden has done is extraordinary. However, the fact of the matter is the Democratic Party has not done a particularly good job in terms of persuasively making that case to the public. Also, it doesn't seem that large swaths of the public are particularly amenable to that message for some legitimate reasons, like, they're still struggling with inflation and economic anxieties, things like that. But also, again, I would argue there's an asymmetry of expectation where we just expect more out of a Democratic president. Certainly seems to be the case in terms of modern history. But Democrats need to step up their game and make that case that President Biden's actually gotten quite a bit done, and there's quite a bit more work left to do, which is why you should vote for him for re-election. Hopefully they continue to do that. But the fundraising is really, really good, especially when you consider that 97% were small grassroots donations. And I'm going to play a video here in just a second of the Biden-Harris campaigns.
Donors across the
their breakdown of this video, or excuse me, the breakdown of the stats. It's a really good video where it kind of goes into detail, because I think the average donation was something like $39. Pretty small, right? So it wasn't like they're being funded by a gazillion billionaires or anything like that. This is genuinely a grassroots movement. So let's hear it from Julie Chavez Rodriguez, the Biden-Harris campaign manager, and she breaks it down pretty competently and pretty persuasively for everybody. So take it away, Julie.
I'm thrilled to announce that thanks to the support of grassroots donors across the country, our campaign has raised over $72 million since April. We've seen incredible enthusiasm for President Biden and Vice President Harris's agenda, including their commitment to restoring democracy, fighting for more freedoms, and growing the economy by growing the middle class.
That was actually pretty well said by Julie. Know what she said. Not incredible enthusiasm necessarily for President Biden or Vice President Harris, but their agenda. And that remains true. Even though President Biden and Vice President Harris are still struggling in terms of popularity, which is a problem, which is a challenge, their agenda remains overwhelmingly popular with the vast majority of Americans. So that is both honest, what she said was honest, was technically true, but also very expertly rhetorically worded.
While Republicans are burning through resources in a divisive primary focused on who can take the most extreme MAGA positions, we are significantly outraising every single one of them, because our team's strength is our grassroots supporters. Since April, over 394,000 donors have made over 670,000 contributions. 97% of all donations were under $200, and the average grassroots contribution was just $39. Americans from all 50 states have also pitched in, with teachers, nurses, and retirees making up some of our most common donors. And 30% of those who pitched in are new donors since our 2020 campaign. We also have a historic $77 million in cash on hand, meaning our campaign and the Democratic Party have the resources we need to organize in every community, register voters, and get our message out. Americans know the stakes in this election, and our broad, diverse coalition, powered by grassroots donors, is going to send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris back to the White House to finish the job. Now we're counting on you to stay involved. One of the most impactful things you can do right now is to start a $20 recurring donation to support the campaign for the long haul. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the campaign trail.
So again, that's phenomenal news. Obviously, fundraising doesn't guarantee a victory, but generally speaking, fundraising and success are correlated, right? So this is good news, especially when, again, you consider some of the other baggage or the consequences that President Biden is saddled with. Again, he is relatively unpopular, and he's been relatively unpopular for a couple of years, and he's up against a litany of bad faith opponents from an obstructionist Republican Party. So there are certain disadvantages facing the Biden-Harris team, but it's good to know that fundraising so far is not one of them, which I think surprises quite a bit of us when you consider those other factors. But this is great news for President Biden, great news for Vice President Harris, and great news potentially for the Democratic Party in the country going into 2024.